In the 90s, Playmates Toys made the deepest line of Star Trek action figures in history. My name's Keith, and I'm a collector working towards owning all 284. I've been a Trek fan for almost 35 years, and most people are sick of me talking about it. But somehow I've convinced my old friend Mike to review them with me on Look at My Star Trek Toys! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Look at My Star Trek Toys. Mike, how would you describe our little YouTube show?
You know, it used to be about reviewing Keith's toys, the 4.5 scale inch original Playmates Star Trek line, but it's become so much more than that, almost its own extended universe, Keith, where we are just enjoying the nostalgia of these old toys and taking a 30-minute break from the realities of the world, from the realities of adulthood, and just being kids together. And for this little series, we've been looking at some of the play ships, some of the ships that were put out in the Playmates line. But we have a special thank you to a benefactor who sent these to Keith so that we could enjoy them with you on air. Keith?
Yes, we'd like to thank, as always, Pat from Rochester, New York, who sent us all of these ships and play sets that it's going to take us months to get through and show all of you, all of them unopened in pristine condition. So excited to show them and share them with everybody. And that's what Pat asked for. Share it with everybody. And I really appreciate the spirit of that too, because it's not just about hoarding toys and like, oh, they're mine and they're cool and whatever. It really is about the shared experience that we all get playing with toys, talking about Star Trek, and Trek in particular is a shared experience and is a worldview that we all share and very much enjoy. Mike, if folks would like to share their thoughts and feelings with us, how would they do that?
You know, there's a variety of ways, Keith. One of the ways I'd like to start with at the top is one we don't talk about too often. It's often said on the show, I am not a first-generation Star Trek fan. I'm coming to it very late when it comes to the television shows. But I'm finding my way through the toys, even the old toys, getting excited about the new toys. So if you have a friend who maybe would love to take this little respite with us, let them know about the show. Don't have to be a huge Star Trek person. I wasn't, but let them know, and let's grow the community organically, as they say. Also, you can get a hold of us to just send your thoughts, memories, feelings, requests, questions, comments. If you want to get Keith's address to send us some stuff to look at on the show, you can do that. You want to send us your displays and anything, your customs, you can do all of that through lookatmystartrektoys@gmail.com. Or hey, if you just want to hook up with us on the Instagram, we're at Star Trek Toys. And as always, you can keep the dialogue going right here on YouTube in the comments section. If you're going to do that, though, we do ask you, hey, just pay the toll. Throw a like, throw a subscribe. We'd appreciate it.
Yes, indeed. Would very much appreciate that. You guys all see I'm doing the Picard maneuver a lot in this shirt here because it's riding up and it's not that flattering when it rides up. So lots of Picard maneuvers here. Mike, do you know about the Picard maneuver?
No judgment zone, Keith.
Okay, all right. Well,
because at the end of the day, you're going to look great in the figure sculpt one way or the other.
That's right. Yeah, they're usually flattering in the figure sculpts because. You know, look, it's just more plastic. It's expensive. All right. So what are we talking about today? Today, we are going to talk about the OG, the original, the flagship of both the Federation and of the Playmates ship line. And that is, of course, the Enterprise D, the first one that Playmates put out. This was in 1992. This is figure number, the ship number 6102, the Enterprise D, in Series 1 of the Playmates ships and figures and such. This was in the same line as the Shuttlecraft Goddard. If you missed that, just go back into our YouTube feed and see me open it up, put some decals on, and not make the lights work. I'm still working on it. But also, there was a communicator and a phaser that came with this ship. But this is, this is like the classic. This is the absolute original. So here we have, this is the back of the ship, explaining what everything is. If you're wondering, where's the captain's yacht? Mike, did you know that there's a captain's yacht?
It makes sense. I didn't know, but now I do.
Do you even know what a captain's yacht is?
I guess that's where their personal holodeck is. You know what I'm saying?
It is. It would. Yeah, I definitely want my own personal holodeck. For lots of different reasons, obvious to figure out. But it's actually the captain's own shuttlecraft, which hops out of the bottom of that, and it was part of the displays and part of the the design of the ship. Never used in the entire run of the series. We did see it in the movies. But in the entire series, we never saw the captain's yacht. I'm assuming that was a budgetary thing. But anyway, so this, of course, is the classic Enterprise D, the next generation ship. One of the things that aren't really thought about is just how large this ship was. The crew complement was 1,013. But there's actually 42 decks on this, and it's 641 meters long and 470 meters wide. There's a great YouTube video out there that talks about how many cubic feet this thing actually is. That the ship was giant, and it was designed to be able to evacuate people, so they had room for 15,000 people that could be on this ship. But if you really do the math, this ship was almost entirely empty most of the time that we were on it, based on just the volume of ship. But you know what? It's TV. Didn't matter. We weren't really thinking that hard about it. 42 stories tall. Very impressive. But what are we here for? We are here to look at this toy, to open this toy. And we have a press here to activate the Enterprise. There are lights and sounds, which we got on our Romulan Warbird and not on our shuttlecraft. But let's find out. Does our Enterprise have lights and sounds? Let's find out. Not this time. All right.
Tough start.
Tough start. That's fine. So, as we have mentioned before, these are collector's edition ships. So we each of these are individually numbered, and this one is only 9,422. So this is early in the run. So pretty cool. So Mike, what do we do now?
I think it's time to get that X-Acto knife and get in that belly.
Yes, indeed. Let us take a look inside this ship and see what we have here. I am cutting the tape, and we are going to pull this open. All right, so we can see the beginnings of our ship. Let's see if we can slide her out carefully out of the box. Okay, wow, cool. All right, so that's the box. We'll put you aside, save you, of course. And we've got a whole bunch of cardboard to get through. And you can see that they were not able to ship it with the nacelles attached. So there might be some assembly required. Which, frankly, for me, that just makes it more fun. Yeah. That's just more fun, right? All right, so let us pull off the sides. Oh, hold on. We're tied in. We're cabled. We're cabled in. So in order to get this out, we're going to have to
work for it, Keith. You got to work for it.
You got to work for it. Got to wait for it. Got to work for it.
As a wise man once said, or a wise woman, a wise collection of people once said, you can do it. Put your back into it.
Indeed. I like how you rhymed it with it. All right, so here we have these cable connector dealies, which we see frequently. Some of the old tape glue is sticking to my fingers, so I'm gonna have to wash my hands when I'm done with this one. But that's okay. It's all part of opening up a 30-year-old toy. Okay, so one half of the ship off. So I always think it's interesting to look at these cutouts, like this the specificity of what you have to do with this cardboard to ship these things. It's really impressive to actually have to cut out each of these times 100,000. It's some pretty detailed level cardboard engineering going on here. So I'm gonna pull off this cable. Now we have to do the same thing on the other side. Cut that open. Try to do this without cutting myself or my table or any of that stuff. We're gonna remove the cabling on the other side. It's actually the cables that were a little sticky. Weird. Okay. Cable off. All right. We are free from that piece of cardboard. Now, we're going to notice here. Oh, we're doing decals again. That will be fun. We'll get into that later. Let me just, no, you know what? Let's do it now. Let me build the suspense. You know, if I'm going to do good TV, it's all about building suspense, right, Mike?
Mm-hmm. And trying to find batteries that work.
And I have plenty of batteries that work. That's the, okay, so there is our decal map, because we're going to do a lot of that. You know, and we didn't find that with the Warbird, so I have a feeling that decals were exclusive to the Series 1, and they realized that wasn't worth the effort. So here we have our blueprint of the Enterprise. So now we're starting to assemble a stack of blueprints of various ships that we're getting here. So in the archives, we'll have to start an archive of blueprints. Okay, so we have decals to get to. We'll set those aside and get here. Okay, so this is how they stored the nacelles. They're taped to the back and separate. Interesting, especially considering these are light up and with sound, so you have to have actual contacts there. You can see the metal contacts there to power the lights. So you have to put those on correctly, otherwise it won't light up. And we have more boxography. You know, it's a ship that was designed for television and designed to be a wider aspect ratio because of the 4:3 of standard definition television. So it has the big head on it to fill the screen, whereas you'll note for Enterprise E is much longer and more horizontal than vertical, and that was because it was for film. And so we have with the 16:9 or cropped, so they had a longer ship as opposed to the sort of stockier build of the D. So when you're designing ships, you have to think about not only the storytelling aspects of it, but also the technical aspects of television and aspect ratios, which is pretty cool when you really think about all of the thought that has to go into the design of these things. Okay, so here is our underside of the ship. See, there's the captain's yacht we were talking about, which, based on this, would be giant. I mean, the size of an actual yacht. But here we are. So our lights and sounds don't work yet. So let us find out what's going on in the battery compartment in the back. How bad is it? Okay, yep, there's a little bit of corrosion in here, and we have our famous HW batteries. So look out, kids. Probably not do it that way. Take it out with a screwdriver here and be a little smarter. Okay, our famous HW batteries. Now, I don't know how this is going to do with this third one here. It did get corroded, which was also the case with my other D. Okay, not too bad. You know, you're going to see this with a 30-year-old ship that's had the same batteries in it for that long. Some of them are going to get corroded, and you can see in there that there is some corrosion. So I don't know how well that's going to work until I get that cleaned up. You know,
Contact cleaner, baby. $2 on Amazon.
$2. Well, there it is. Don't lick the corrosion stuff. That's bad for you. But just for fun, let's see if we can get it to go with Energizer Max. Energizer Max not sponsoring us, but you're welcome to later. And see if we can get these cooking. I think half of these ship shows are about me battling with batteries, but that's part of the charm, right? Okay. And one thing that's interesting about this is I see in the construction, if it doesn't work and there's a wiring issue, there are actually plenty of screws in here, so it would be pretty easy to pop this open and take a look at the wiring, were I a person who understood stuff like that, which I'm not. I have a lot of special skills, but wiring isn't one of them. So, all right, so there we go. Batteries are in. I'm not optimistic, but... Hey, it worked! Yes! All right, let's put on some nacelle, shall we, Mike? I think we lost Mike. Oh, there he is. Okay. There is nacelle 1 and nacelle 2. Can we get these? We have sound. Can we get lights? Let's see. Gotta get those tight and the contacts on. Let's see.
Hey!
Yes! Well, one of them works.
We got sound for sure.
Oh, yeah. No, we absolutely have lights. Yes!
Nice.
We're going off to warp. And sounds courtesy of my Uncle Jim, who is not getting money for that. Surprise, surprise. Okay, so, cool. It works. That's... Oh, does the deflector dish turn on? It does not. That's okay. All right. So here we go. We're gonna have more stickerography. Let's at least put on the NCC 1701D, wouldn't you say? I mean, that seems. Let me see. It's gonna go right about. Right here in the front. A little vague about where you're putting this. But I'm going to put it there. There we go. We are christened the NCC 1701D. Tons of more stickers to attach and play with. I will spare you stickerography. But really cool. So, Mike, tell me your impressions from afar here.
I think it's super cool. The separate lights and sounds having the side jams is pretty cool. Well, let's see if we can't get that side by side.
Yeah, let's take a look at the on the side here. It's pretty cool. Oh, there we are.
Oh,
there is
badass.
Our angle. Go away. Decals. Yes. So, and this is one of the things here. We'll get the. Oh, yes. That's so
really
cool.
Really cool.
That's really neat. Wow, it got the phasers and then the explosion. Which, of course, in space there is no sound. But whatever. One of the things that always strikes me when I look at the models, they always seem too light, and all of the decals seem too colorful. I'm gone. I'm lost.
Wait, can you make that better? And then we'll come back in on one of the things that. There you go.
All right. One of the things that always strikes me when I look at the models is that they all seem a little too light and the colors seem a little too bright. And when you see the decals, I'm like, whoa, that seems pretty bright. And then you realize that these exist in space and with an absence of light. And so they had to be this bright and they had to be like this in order to show up on camera. So you see like the Defiant or whatever is like, that's way too bright and way too colorful. Well, it is in here in all of the lights that we have set up for this. But once you're in space and lighting it like a TV show, it's going to look right. So this probably represents the actual filming model much more accurately. And of course, back in 1992, when this came out, they were actually still shooting models. These were not digital. There was 3 different Enterprise D models in different scales that they shot the show on. And had, cameras shooting all over them. And anybody watching this already knows all of this. But one of the things that I think is interesting is when they filmed the model, it was flipped upside down. When they actually filmed it, had the cameras around it, and then they flipped the film. But very interesting and lots of intricate work to get all the lights, because all the lights internal, those weren't put in post. Those were all internally lit with little LEDs, which are pretty cool. So from the Playmates standpoint, obviously, like we said with the Warbird, it could use a stand, right? And because it's kind of how do you display it? It looks a little silly, sitting on its sitting on its nose like that. Which is why behind me you'll see in a lot of the shots I hung it with fishing wire. So it's sort of flying above, much like I did when I was a kid. I mentioned that before. In my bedroom, there were ships flying everywhere in a perpetual battle. But
now, where would
so
you'd have to do some yeoman's work to find that center of gravity? Yeah.
Well, right, because it's actually about here, because the saucer section is much heavier than the back section. Now, Mike, I don't know if you know this, not as a Star Trek person yet. We're gonna fix that, folks. We're gonna fix that. But did you know that this ship actually splits into 2 pieces?
I did not know that.
So in canon, and we see it in the pilot, and then a couple of more times, the aft section and the saucer section can detach and operate independently. So there is actually a second bridge called the battle bridge on the back half here, so that if they're about to go into a battle, because there's also a lot of civilians on the ship. That's one of the things that makes the D interesting, that it is not purely a military ship. There are civilians on it. And so if they were going to go into a big battle, like say with the Borg, they might detach the saucer section and take it to safety and then battle with the back half. Or in various things. No, they didn't do it a ton on the show, I think for budgetary reasons, although they did reuse the separation and connection a bunch of times from the pilot. And the Galoob ship, which was a die-cast much smaller scale, actually did separate. And I had that one as a kid. That was one of the ships that was the original Galoob. It sat in my bunk bed. I had a little compartment in the back of the bed, and so I always had the ship there. When I was bored, I would connect it and take it apart a million different times. So somewhere, you mentioned your mother's basement. It's in my parents' attic somewhere, so I have to find it someday. But anyway, really cool ship. I look forward to putting all the rest of the decals on it. And I'm so, once again, so grateful to our friend Pat, who sent all of these to share with everybody. And I hope you all enjoyed this as much as I did to play with all of this stuff. And I'm sure a lot of you out there have this one. And this is probably the one that the most people have, because it was the first one that came out. It was the flagship. So if you have pictures of yours, how do you have it displayed? What did you do for a stand? Did you purchase one in the aftermarket world? Did you make your own? Did you hang it? Send us pictures. Let us know. And you can tag us on Instagram at Star Trek Toys, or just email us at lookatmystartrektoys@gmail.com. Leave a comment below, like and subscribe. Mike, any final thoughts before we let people move on with their day?
No, I'm remembering growing up, I used to use it as a stand, not just for for ships or things that needed to fly, but I just had access to lots of wire hangers and a little from my guitar. When I would cut the strings, I had a little wire cutter, so I would fashion all sorts of crap out of metal wire hanger. So,
Oh, that's clever. You probably could do
mhm.
this.
In fact, I
Well,
still use it for my one of my Google Homes hang on the wall, and I just instead of buying a stand for it, I just got a little piece of wire, a little hanger, cut it, put little feet. Hey,
well, very clever. Well, that's it's funny in your adulthood the lengths you will go. In fact, one of the things that's nice here in the basement is we're totally off topic, but it's actually paneling. There's wood paneling. It's painted to look like a regular wall, but it's wood paneling, so that if I need to hang a light, I can just screw right into it. It's and I
nice.
made and all the walls are painted the same color gray as screws, so you don't even notice. It's good fun. So there it is. That's been your Keith and Mike talk about
This old
jerry
house.
rigging stuff. This old house here on whatever. Hey, you know what? We talk about what we talk about. That's what we're here for. You know,
We're
we
just
don't
having
get
a good
paid.
time.
Yeah,
All
we're
right,
not
that
being
said,
paid for this.
we will send you out of our fantasy playtime back to your real lives. We wish you and yours the best. Let a friend know. Hit us up. Look at mystartrektoys.com. And Keith, we've got plenty more toys to look at, play with, and
Tons.
put together. So we'll see you next time on
Look at my Star Trek toys!